By the time you're watching this, the OnePlus 6 is now available to directly buy straight from their website. The OnePlus 6 is the latest budget Android phone coming out to the market at only $530. It's kind of the phone you want if you don't want to go that cheap, but you don't want to go as expensive at a $900 phone. The OnePlus 6 is the successor to the OnePlus 5T and then the OnePlus 5 even before that. And every single model, OnePlus has been chopping off those bezels because, you know, the theme in 2017 and 2018 is to remove all the bezels. So if you take a look at the OnePlus 5, that kind of looked like a regular old 2016 smartphone, even though it was released in 2017. But then OnePlus moved on to the 5T, cut a little bit of some more bezels, and then here we are at the OnePlus 6 with a notch. I'll get to that in a second. But the main selling feature with the OnePlus 6 is about the speed you need. Personally, I do not see what's special about the OnePlus 6 compared to other Android phones, other than it has a good processor at a relatively still cheap price. And the processor that matches the speed you need is not the fastest smartphone processor, which belongs to the A11 Bionic chip. It's the Snapdragon 845, the successor to the A11 Bionic chip. To be fair, the Snapdragon 845 is just practically as good as the A11 Bionic chip. It's just that the A11 Bionic chip wins slightly. But if you have heard the Snapdragon 845 chip before in 2018, that's because it's been in other Android smartphones. Not iPhones, of course, but other Android smartphones such as the Samsung Galaxy S9, it was in that. So OnePlus saying that it's the speed you need, I don't really understand that. Although it is a great processor at a still $530. That's a good price. So if you want a fast phone but only have $530, the OnePlus 6 is practically perfect. Along with OnePlus running around saying, oh, we got the Snapdragon 845 chip. Along with that, it also has the OnePlus's skin of Android called Oxygen OS, which is practically just going to optimize everything in the background for a fast and simple experience. Now let's move to the display, because the theme of 2018 is sadly put a notch on your phone. Apparently the notch is like a love-hate relationship. You have that group who hates the notch, and then you have that group that loves the notch. I'm kind of on the side that loves the notch. I really don't mind the notch day to day, but it's a little annoying at sometimes. What truly annoys me the most is that when you have a notch on your phone, but you're not going from the edge to the other edge. And that's what you're going to see with most Android phones, because they're not bending the OLED display like the iPhone X. Apple had enough money, I mean, they made the phone $1,000 so that they could bend the technology of the OLED display so that I could go to the edge. But with all these other Android phones, they don't have the money to just put into development to bend the OLED display. So you're going to see a little bezel on the bottom like you do with the OnePlus 6. But nonetheless, the OnePlus 6 still has a 6.28 1080p AMOLED display, which looks very good at a 19:9 ratio. That 19:9 ratio just means the phone is going to be very vertical, and whenever you're watching video on the phone, you have to zoom in and you're going to cut off a little bit of the video. Maybe you might be doing that right now. The OnePlus 6 actually boasts a smaller notch than the iPhone X because the OnePlus 6 only has the face unlock feature, which just uses the front facing camera, while the iPhone X actually has to put all of the Face ID technology into that little notch. Also, the iPhone X has stereo sound coming out of the top speaker. The OnePlus 6 does not. If you hated the iPhone X notch, which I personally do not, the OnePlus 6 has offered an option and they have shrunken the notch. But trust me, the OnePlus 6 is not going to be the last Android phone to come out with a notch this year. Now onto the build quality with the OnePlus 6, which is looking very 2018, which I'm very proud of for a $530 phone. With the OnePlus 6, you have Gorilla Glass 5 on both the front and the back, and weirdly enough, even though you have glass on the back, you don't have wireless charging. That's kind of one of those sacrifices you have to make for a flagship phone at $530. You're not going to get all the features, but weirdly enough, it doesn't have wireless charging, although it's glass on the back. On the bottom of the OnePlus 6, you're going to find a headphone jack with no headphones in the box. That's my rule from now on. I'm supposed to expect headphones in the box if you're going to keep the headphone jack at OnePlus, but no headphones in the box. You do have a USB-C charger and along with the USB-C port. And lastly, you have that single firing speakers because, as I mentioned previously, this phone does not have stereo speakers, which I'm actually gonna miss. This phone has dual SIM support and Bluetooth 5.0, which I was actually very surprised to see. And this phone is actually IP67 water resistant, which actually makes economic sense because the iPhone 7, which was released 2 years ago, was actually water resistant and is actually at the same price range as the OnePlus 6. The OnePlus 6 comes in 3 color options, which only 2 of them are going to be off the bat. The first one of those 2 is going to be this midnight black, which is this nice looking black, and the other one is called mirror black, and you could guess it has this nice mirror finish on the back. The last color on the OnePlus 6 is this nice gold color called silk white, and this is going to be available 14 days after May 22nd, which is the launch date, which was yesterday. The last subheading with the OnePlus 6 is the vertical facing camera. It's no longer horizontal like the OnePlus 5T. They now moved it vertically like the iPhone X. Interesting. One of the rear OnePlus cameras has a megapixel count of 16 and the other has a megapixel count of 20. This is both above Google, Samsung, and iPhone, and that's because megapixels don't really matter that much. One feature that I was very pleased to see on the OnePlus 6 spec sheet is that this phone, the cameras can record 4K at 60 frames per second, and that kind of goes with this whole theme of the speed you need. Because with this brand new Snapdragon 845 processor, this can support 4K at 60 frames per second, which is huge files if you want to record at 4K. I would recommend just recording 1080p if you're not going to use it for any commercial usage. But if you're going to use it for commercial usage, 4K at 60 is a nice feature to have. The last thing on the camera and with overall the phone is that the phone camera can kind of record the super slow-mo feature at 480 frames at 720p, kind of based off of the S9's super slow-mo feature. The OnePlus 6 can record the super slow motion for a minute, while the S9, although be it at 960 frames, can only record it for 2 seconds. Overall, the OnePlus 6 is still missing out on some of those flagship features, but you still have to expect that with a $530 price tag. This phone has no 3D face unlock feature, it has no wireless charging, it has no stereo speakers, but it still has an AMOLED display with almost no bezels. So you gotta take what you could get. I think if you have $500 and you're looking for an Android phone and you don't want to spend anything more than those $500, you could definitely get the OnePlus 6 and you'll be happy. Are there better phones out there? Of course they are, but with Oxygen OS and the OnePlus 6 features, they're not bad for $530. But I'm going to turn it to you, and I'd love to hear your opinion about the OnePlus 6 in the comment section below, and while you're doing that, I'll see you in the next one.